Aloha. It was wonderful meeting you. Well, here's what we do. For our ukulele, the things that I didn't explain to you that I'm pretty sure you got a facet for are these items. This is the ukulele. This is the sound hole under which the sound comes out of because of the reverberation or the vibrations of the four strings. The string closest to our nose is the high G. It can be a low G if you have it strung for a low G. It has a very different sound though. The reason why it is a high G is when sailors used to bring their ukuleles with them, the closest thing that they would have would be an uk or a gourd guitar. The strings would break, and since they were at sea for so long, the salt water affected them, meaning the strings were basically intestines that were twined together like string, pushed down with oils, and then pulled so they're super tight. It was hard to get a low, thick string that would last. It would break too quick, so they just made the thick string that was accustomed to a guitar on an ukulele. Long story short, we kept the high string up top and had the lower strings down below. Therefore, the fingers that we base this off are quite literally the same as the top four strings of a guitar. Meaning, if you had the top of the four strings of a guitar and you were to play your G major, it would be a D major on the guitar because it's a fifth down. Long story short, our ukulele itself has the high G, the C is a thick string, the E after that, which is up a major third, and then we've got the A after that. In juxtaposition from the C, it would be a sixth. When we have the chords on here, C, E, and a G, that makes a C major. The addition of the A would make that a C, D, E, F, G, A, 1, 2, 3, C major, and then a 6. So it's a C6. We could also call it an A minor 7 because the A, the C, and the E make a A minor. Try it already. A, B, C, D, E. A, C, E. Well, when we add the G, it's the 7th. So this is a C6 and an A minor 7. Fun, huh? All chords have two names. All notes have two names. So when I play C to C sharp goes to D. D goes to D sharp, but D sharp is also an E flat. The only ones that don't have a half step are E to F, so I don't call it E sharp all the time, or I don't call it E, F flat all the time, but they are. We just don't really call them that. So we have C, C, D, 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 D. When we go up 12 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that last note we hit is on the 12th fret, meaning it is an octave. So low C, high C, high C, high C. They're just octaves each time. So the notes that are in between there are half steps or minor seconds. Our first scale exercise is going to be called a spider exercise, meaning we're going to put one finger on the first fret on the high G, closest to the nose, and pluck it with our finger. I noticed you didn't have your finger up top nor here. That is wonderful. That is exactly how you want to hold it. Your fingers play the strings while your thumb kind of floats. It will be there later for different kind of rhythm techniques, but mostly when I get new ook players, we try and get rid of the thumb playing. So for this, humor me. You're already doing a great job though. Use your first finger, play the first note, one note, make sure it's loud and clear, that you're not playing on the nut or not on the fret-ing, but actually on the fret to get a nice clean note. Play one note, put your second finger on the second fret, third finger on the third fret, and fourth finger on the fourth fret. When you move to the C string to play and you move one finger, keep the other fingers on the fret and then move them individually. That last one always tends to go anyways. That's a really hard one. You will find out what fingers work well for you this, but the constant of this is keeping the fingers on the fretboard. And then when you get to the top, go all the way back to the beginning. I wouldn't have a weird way of playing this with awkward syncopation, but I would have the same syncopation and the same rhythm. Play the same notes at the same meter. If you find you can't make contact with it and get each note to come out on the 1, 2, 3, 4, then try doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically turning those quarter note movements into eighth note movements. You'll be surprised that when you do this fast, you can actually use that as your advantage as some sort of melody. So, the purpose of spider exercises are they stop your fingers from doing that little baby dough thing, they make them strong, and it gives us a reference point. So if I wanted to say how to play a G major 7, I could say play your spider exercise to the second fret on the C string, E string, and A string. And you would go, cool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Leave it there. First finger, second finger would stay there, and then first finger, second finger. So there's no point to go like this and put all your fingers on. You'd actually just bar it. And that's an easy way for us to describe notes. So how do you play a F major and how do you play its relative minor, D minor? I would say, here's our vocabulary. First finger, first fret on the E string. G, C, E. First finger, first fret, E string. Second finger, second fret on the high G string. Boom. When we get those there, that's our F major. To make an F major a D minor, all I need to do is add the addition of the third finger on the C string at the second fret. All the notes in F major, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and F, are also in the key of D minor. D minor, E, or D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. The only note that's weird is that B flat, and we'll explain why it's a flat rather than a natural in another episode. However, for this week, concentrate on those spider exercises, getting those fingies nice and strong. 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the night. Being able to play at this tempo is the end goal, because the end of this goal just becomes a little faster, being able to get caveats on the fingers down below. However, having said that, we never want to go too fast. We want to go just fast enough to get the concentration on the exercise and what it's worth and why we do it. This all will lead to being able to explore the fretboard and use new chords. We'll talk about major chords with inversions, how to play them in different places. We'll talk about taking major chords and turning them into minor chords, how to play versions of minor chords in certain places, but not in others, by utilizing bar chords, and then how to make our majors, minors, diminished, and then augmented chords. The only 4 types of chords. One has a 1, 3, 5. One has a 1, 3 sharp 5. One has a 1 flat 3, 5, and one has a 1 flat 3 flat 5. Only 4 types of chords, and each one is distinct. Today, in the key of C major, we went over C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, E minor, no, that's not right, A minor, B diminished, and then it resolves to C major. In each key we have that, but we can't just call it D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. D has 2 sharps. So when we get to those sharps, F sharp and C sharp, we have to say D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, and then resolution to D. We'll talk about why these chords are the way they are. We'll talk more about triads, so we just start visualizing our chords. We'll work on right hand rhythm melodies, and then we'll work on doing our teeter-totters, which is our second episode. So spider exercise gets our fingers nice and strong. Teeter-totters gives us right hand rhythm, which is what we use to form our own personal way of playing. So here we go, ready? C major. If I had my third finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, I would get a C major. I'm going to play it on the 1, and then I'm going to keep playing for 4 more beats, but I'm going to make them rest. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So when I'm playing a 1 note chord, this doesn't really make that much sense, but notice how my finger, right after playing, switches. So when I play the 1 and switch, this is a whole note. It's worth 4 beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and switch, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, switch, 2, so on and so forth. If I were to play on the 1 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, those are half notes. If I were to switch on every fingering, those would be quarter notes. If I were to switch on every up and down, it would be 8 notes, which is weird. Don't have to do this, I'm just showing you. 16 notes. You quite literally can switch and play for that. I've never really practiced it that way, but if you do, you get a lot better. I use that for tremolo picking, really fast ostinato types. But what we'll be working on with these teeter-totters is when you're playing something other than just a 1-note chord, if you move your fingers after that first movement, like with an A major, switch. Look at how many beats. Switch. 2, 3, 4. You've got 3.5 beats in between playing it, switching your fingers just to wait. When you're playing in whole notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, there's a whole lot of time. But if you're playing in eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, there's not a whole lot of time between switching. What happens is it's very easy to switch between two chords, and it's a little bit harder to switch between multiple chords. When we put these in patterns together, the chords become easier to switch between. Like C major to an F major to a B diminished is a quick movement. But if you were to play your C like this, play your F like this, and then play your G7 like that, you'd have to be moving your hand all around the fretboard. It doesn't make sense. What does make sense is use fingers that are relative and close. The last thing I'm going to leave you with, besides a fuller explanation of almost all of the chords for the teeter-totters up to reason, would be a finger style for your picking hand. High G, thick C, high G, that E, high G, A. We're going to be playing with only our thumb and our pointer finger. Eventually, we're going to play with our thumb, our pointer, and our middle, thumb, pointer, and our index. But in the beginning, just these two. Get this rotation down, G, C, G, E, G, A, G, C, G, E, G, A, at about this speed. 1, 1. And then take those three notes we did, the C major, the F major, and the B diminished, and put them together to get this. C, F, B diminished, C, C, F, B diminished, C, C, D minor, and then B diminished, C. I threw the D minor in just because it's relative to F and it sounds cool. Long story short, these are the two episodes you will be doing. The first one's called Spider Episodes, the second one's called Teeter Totters, and then the random one is just a finger exercise for us. The reason why we do those is to gain finger stability and motor skills and memory on this side. The teeter-totters help with our rhythm, and then the individual notation with those chords help to correlate 3 or 4 different chord patterns together with a different style on the right hand. The reason why we use the teeter-totter method, like a G major, do a downstroke, switch our second finger to where our first finger was, upstroke, downstroke, switch our second finger to where our third was, upstroke, downstroke, and switch our finger that wasn't even on the fretboard onto the fretboard. That completes all of our notes, and then we get a rest to play. 1, switch to the finger, switch to a finger, switch to a finger, and play the chord. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and switch and switch and switch and play and switch and switch and switch and play. The reason why we do this is they will be layering in the beginning, and inevitably they will just start moving together in one felt swoop, thusly giving us a little bit more motor skills, a little bit more memory with our right hand rhythms, and it gives us vocabulary so we could really start knocking out these concepts together. Whether you want to play traditional music that's on the radio, traditional ook music, or finger classical style music on this, it's all possible. And what I'm hoping to do is set you up so you'll be able to write your own music and at least be able to have fun improvising. I really hope you had fun today. I really enjoyed meeting him. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Aloha.